Today I'm going to show you how to make a necklace to match the earrings we made in our last tutorial. These were called triangular glam earrings, and this will be called triangular glam necklace. In this necklace, it's a triangle weave, a basic triangle weave, and then we will go through and embellish the triangle weave, and it comes out to be a really pretty little collar. This is exactly 18 inches in length. So I will give you the beads that you'll need for exactly 18 inches. Of course, that's going to vary with the size of your clasp, and the amount of beads will vary if you decide to make it shorter or longer. You can always make it a 16-inch necklace and put an extender on it, or you can do more units of triangle weave and make it longer if you prefer. This one, I did just one color of 6mm and one color of 4mm crystals. And I used an 8/0 and a matching 11/0. And the one we're going to do today, I'm going to use 3 different colors of 6mm, one color of 4mm crystals, bicone crystals, and 2 different colors, one color of 8/0 and a different color of 11/0 seed beads. Just to make it more colorful, a little bit different, a little springy. Now I will give you the total amount estimations, basically, of beads that you will need. In the material or the description list, in the material list under the video player, I will put exactly how many of each color I use if you decide that you want to use 4 different colors like I'm going to do today with your crystals. However, if you want to use just one color, then you don't have to worry about that. But right now I don't know exactly how many I'm going to use because I'm going to kind of design the placement of colors as I do this today. So let's look at our beads. You will need in total 154. Well, this is an approximation. I'm not going to say in total because it depends on your length. But you will need 154 altogether 6mm crystals. I have a lot more than that out right now. I just wanted to have 3 different colors, so I just dumped some out. And I'm using a fuchsia, an amethyst, and a lavender in my 6mm, and these are Swarovski crystals, excuse me. And then you will need a 4mm Swarovski crystal also, or it doesn't have to be a Swarovski, of course. It can be whatever crystal you want, but this is a 4mm and it's rose. You will need an 8/0 seed bead and an 11/0 seed bead. I'm using check seed beads. My 8/0 is a mint green, and my 11/0 is a hex check seed bead. Actually, it's got little facets on it, makes it a little shinier, and it's a pale pink silver lined 11/0. Now, you will need several yards of 8-pound Fireline or 6-pound Fireline if you prefer. I prefer 8, it's a little sturdier. You will also need a clasp. I'm using a little toggle clasp today, and 2 wire protectors. You will also need a beading needle, and I am using a size 10 English beading needle. A 12 will work really well too. Thread onto your needle about 2 wingspans of 8-pound or 6-pound Fireline. I'm not going to use quite that much right now, just so you don't have to watch me pull that much thread through. But that's what you should start with. And then put onto your needle 3 8/0 seed beads and 3 6mm crystals, alternating between the 2, starting with an 8/0 seed bead and ending with the 6mm crystal. Right now, I have 3 different colors of 6mm crystals, but I'm only going to use 2. So I'm going to start with an 8/0 seed bead, a lavender, an 8/0 seed bead, a fuchsia, an 8/0 seed bead, and a lavender. And like I said, start with your seed bead, end with your crystal. Bring it down to the end of your thread. Just leave enough to tie a knot. So tie a knot and draw your crystals and your seed beads into a circle. Make sure that your knot goes between your seed beads and not on top. Your seed bead and your crystal anyway. And that's what you should have. Move my camera around a little bit. Okay. Now we are just going to sew back through all of the beads we just added until we get back around to where our knot is. Now I've sewn all the way around. This is where my knot is, where my tail is coming out. I'm going to go through the 8/0 seed bead and the next crystal and exit the back of the crystal. I don't want to go into my next 8/0 seed bead. Excuse me, I can't get my camera quite right here. Now we will pick up an 8/0 seed bead. We're going to be sharing this crystal, so we won't need 3 crystals this time. We'll only need 2. We are going to pick up an 8/0. I want my fuchsia to be on this side, so I'm going to pick up a fuchsia first. And since that's where my thread is pointing, that's the color I want next. So I will put onto my needle 3 8/0s and 2 crystals. I am putting on the fuchsia first because it will fall down towards the bottom. I want to keep my lavenders up towards the top. I am exiting this side of my 6mm crystal. I am going to go into the other side of my 6mm crystal, avoiding the seed bead that's behind it. And pull. I am now going to secure the beads that I just added because they're loose. So now we need to secure them a little bit so that they won't just flop all around. And we need to get over to the next bead that we're going to share. So we're going to sew through the first 8/0 and the first crystal we added. Then we're going to sew through the next 8/0 and the next crystal we added, exiting the crystal before we go into the next seed bead. So now our thread is coming out of this crystal right here. Now our thread is also coming out of the side where I want my lavenders to be. So this tells me I will pick up a lavender first. I pick up an 8/0, a lavender seed bead, or a lavender crystal, an 8/0, a fuchsia crystal, and an 8/0. Now I am coming out of this side of my crystal. I want to go into the other side of my crystal, avoiding the 8/0 seed beads on either side of it, and pull. And now, if you pull towards your work, you'll tighten it up. If you pull away from your work, you're going to pull it apart. So as you're pulling it through, pull towards your work. Now, we are going to secure these 2 seed beads. If you'd like, you can turn the work over in your hand. You'll have a better angle. I'm not going to turn it over in an effort not to confuse you. I'm going to sew through my first 8/0, my first 6mm, my second 8/0, and my second 6mm bicone crystal, and exit that bicone crystal and pull my thread through. I am now going to share this bicone crystal. So I am coming out the direction of the color of this fuchsia. So that's the first one I'm going to pick up. So I am going to pick up an 8/0 seed bead, a fuchsia, 6mm bicone, an 8/0 seed bead, and a lavender 6mm bicone, and an 8/0 seed bead. I'm coming out of this side of my 6mm crystal. I'm going to go into the opposite side, avoiding the seed beads on either side of the crystal, and pull. And again, I need to tighten my work up. So the 2 that I just added, I'm going to sew back through. And this is where you can see if I turn it over it'd be easier for me, but I'm not going to. And then I'm going to sew up through the next two, exit the crystal, and don't go through the next seed bead. Pull towards my work to tighten my work. And now I am coming out of this crystal here. And this is the crystal I will be sharing. So I will pick up, and my thread is coming out towards the side where I want my lavender seed beads to be. So that tells me I will pick up a lavender. So I pick up an 8-0 first, a lavender, an 8-0, a fuchsia, and an 8-0. And then I will come back through the opposite side of the crystal I am exiting, avoiding the 8-0 seed beads on either side again. And I will pull my thread through. Pull towards your work to tighten, and then sew back through the beads you just added to your work. When you get to the second 6mm crystal, exit, don't go through the seed bead, and again we will do one more unit here. We are exiting the fuchsia, so that means, and we're exiting towards the side that I want my fuchsia beads on. My thread is coming out on this side of my work, so I'm going to pick up a fuchsia bead first. So I'm going to pick up an 8-0, a fuchsia, an 8-0, and a lavender, and an 8-0. And I'm going to come back through the bead I am exiting on the opposite side and pull my thread through and tighten by pulling towards my work. Oops, and spilling all my 8-0 seed beads everywhere. There we go. Now I need to sew back through the beads that I just added. So I'm going to sew back through my 8-0, my first 6mm, my 8-0, and my second crystal. And now I am ready to start again by adding my seed bead. And this is the crystal I'll be sharing, so I will add a seed bead, a lavender, because I'm coming out in the direction where I want my lavender beads to be on this side of my work. So I will add an 8-0, a lavender, an 8-0, a fuchsia, an 8-0, and come back through. We will do these units 31 times. So you will want to count your bottom crystal and keep going until you have 31 of them. And we'll be back. Okay, so I have finished my 31 units of triangle weave. I've established that there's 31 by counting the bottom bead. And when I got to 31, then I knew I had 31 units. This will make, by the time we add the clasp and the wire protector and everything, this will make an 18-inch necklace. If you want a longer necklace, of course, you can do more basic units of triangle weave here. End on an odd number, simply because of the fact, regardless if you make it shorter, longer, whatever, simply because of the fact that when you end on an odd number, both sides of your necklace will have the same amount of seed beads on the top and on the bottom around your original units. And on my bottom, I want to have 2 seed beads between the crystals, and on the top, I want to have 3 seed beads between the crystals, the 8-0s here. And that will just keep you from being confused, because this is the way I ended it originally, and that's what I worked into my design. So just make sure that you do an odd number of units, and then you should end up the same amount of seed beads around your units that I have, and you'll be able to follow a little bit better. So I have added my last unit. I have not secured it yet, the 2 beads that I just, or the beads that I just added onto the unit. So I'm going to go ahead and secure this unit now. Just sew through them as you would while you were doing your regular length of necklace. Sew through the new ones you added. And now they are secure, but I'm going to work out of this bead here to add my wire protector, because we're going to go ahead and prepare with this for the clasp. I also need to say that I did not tell you to add 2 jump rings to your material list, you will need jump rings. We're just going to put on the wire protector and then we will connect our clasp with jump rings. So you will need two. So we're going to sew up all the way around the rest of the unit here. Until we get to this end 8-0 seed bead right here. Then we're going to go through that 8-0 seed bead. Now we're going to prepare this for our wire protector. So we're going to pick up two 11-0 seed beads, a crystal, and I think I'm going to use a lavender crystal, two seed beads and a crystal, an 8-0 seed bead, just like that. Drop them down. Pick up your wire protector and go through one side of your wire protector and pull it down to your work. Now it's going to want to fall into the 8-0 seed bead, which is a real pain in the butt. Try not to let it. And then we're going to just go into the other side of the wire protector. And pull our thread through while pinching the wire protector so that our thread is guided into the divots. Now this is what you should have right here. Just like that. And we're going to go back into the 8-0 seed bead. Now, like I said, your wire protector wants to fall into it, so you have to kind of move it up. Go back into the 8-0 seed bead. And the crystal. And pull your thread through. And it should just be on top of the 8-0 like that. And then pick up two 11-0 seed beads onto your needle. And we came out of this side of the 8-0 seed bead. We're going to go into the opposite side now. Just like this. And pull through. And then we're going to sew up and back around this a couple of times to secure it. So go ahead and do that. Just sew up the 11-0s into the crystal, around the 8-0, back down. Do that a couple of times until you feel secure, and we'll be right back. Also, we'll take a pair of flat nose pliers and squeeze this after you're done. Just squeeze the little wire protector so that it fits right on top of your 8-0 seed bead. Okay, so I have secured my wire protector by sewing through all my beads and making it nice and tight. As you can see, it's laying kind of funny on top of that 8-0 seed bead. So I'm just going to take my flat or my long nose pliers, and I'm just going to squeeze that so that it lays right on top of the bead really nicely here. Now, I have sewn through, and you can see I'm coming out of this 8-0 seed bead here, and it's aiming down towards the bottom of my necklace where my fuchsia beads are. Well, my next embellishment, I want to get up here and do these beads first, do my embellishment up here. So I am just going to go ahead and do a little half hitch knot right here. Make sure that it doesn't get involved in any of your beads for your clasping, or that it's going to pull your tension funny. Just pull it right there. And you can't see it at all. It's hidden. So now I can go back up through my 8-0 seed bead and then just pull your thread through. And now my thread is coming out the proper direction so that I can work into my lavender crystals here. My top crystals. And the way I'm determining the top is my 8-0 seed beads. There's 3 of them between the crystals here. On the bottom there's 2. So I know that this will be my top because I want to be able to cinch it in, make it round so it's shaped more like a necklace. And the bottom I will want to be a little bit more flared out. So now that I'm coming out of this 8/0 seed bead by my clasping here, I'm going to travel up through the crystal and pull my thread through to begin my next embellishment. I am going to then travel down through all 3 of the 8/0 seed beads between the crystals. I'm just going to pick all 3 of them up and pull my thread through. You can do it one at a time if you want. It just saves time this way. And then I am going to pick up an 11/0 and my 4mm bicone crystal and an 11/0. Just like this. And then I am going to come back through the first 8/0 that I came through. So my thread is coming out here. I'm going to go back into here and I'm going to travel all 3 of them again. Travel through all 3 of them. And pull your needle through. This will just make a little loop. You'll have an 11/0 and a crystal and an 11/0 laying on top of the 3 beads in your triangle weave right there, just like that. That's how it looks. And now that we have gone through that, we're coming out right next to the next crystal in our triangle weave. So we're going to go through the next crystal, pull our thread through, and then we're going to go through again all 3 of our 8/0 seed beads in our original units and pull the thread through. Then again, we are going to pick up an 11/0, a 4mm crystal, and an 11/0. And then we are going to go back through the other side. We're coming out here, we're going to go back through here and travel through all 3 of the seed beads again. And pull. There's your embellishment right there. And we're going to do this one more time. We're going to go through the crystal right next to where you're coming out of the 8/0 seed beads from your embellishment. Go through the next crystal, pull your thread through all the way, and then again go through all 3 of the little 8/0 seed beads, pull your thread through, pick up your embellishment, an 11/0, a 4mm crystal, and an 11/0, and then come back through all 3 on the opposite side that you're exiting of your seed beads again, and pull through. And tighten it. And you're going to continue doing this the entire length of your necklace. And when we get to the other end, I'll be back to show you the next step. Okay, so I have finished my entire top embellishment with my little 4mm and my 11/0s here. And now I'm coming out of this crystal at the end here, right here. And now we are going to sew up through the 8/0 seed bead and add our wire protector just like we did on the other side. So we just pick up our 2 11/0 seed beads, our crystal, our 6mm crystal, an 8/0 seed bead. Grab your wire protector, go through one side, and again, we will do exactly like we did on the other side. Just sew through your wire protector, add another couple of 11/0s, and go through your 8/0 seed bead here, and secure it several times, and we'll be back, just like we did the other side. Okay, so I have secured my wire protector onto my piece, and I'm coming out of the 8/0 seed bead here. right here. You can see my thread coming out. Now we have our tail here. A couple of things we can do. We can just avoid the tail for now and sew it in later, which is what I'm going to do. Or you can take your needle off right now and you can sew your tail through until it's secure and then cut it off. I'm just going to leave it at this point. We're not going to use our tail, but I like to sew it back in so that there's no weakness in the necklace itself. So at this point I'm just going to ignore it. And I'm coming out of my 8/0 seed bead after securing my extension here for my clasp. So now I'm going to go up through this crystal here on the bottom. And then I'm going to go through the first 8/0 seed bead. Let me move this tail out of the way here. After sewing through the first 8/0 seed bead, let me move my work around so I'm right-handed, gonna move it. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick up 2 11/0 seed beads and we're just going to travel into the next 8/0 and crystal. Just like that. And that just gets us over and ready for our next embellishment. Now we are going to go up through the 8/0, the very next 8/0 next to the crystal, and we are going to add 11/0 seed beads between each 8/0 seed bead. So go through an 8/0, pick up an 11/0, go through the next 8/0, and just pop your 11/0s between. I'm using check hex and they're pretty small 11/0s and they're kind of off sizes. So I'll just have to kind of go through them and pick out the ones I want. But it works fine. So now that I've put an 11/0 between each 8/0 seed bead, I'm going to pick up an 11/0. And then I'm going to start using my lavender 6mm crystals now. So I'm going to pick up one and then another 11/0. So I've got an 11/0, a lavender crystal, and an 11/0, 6mm crystal that is. And I'm just going to go back through the seeds that I just went through and the ones that I just added. So I'm coming out of this side here. I'm going to go into this side here. And I'm going to go through all of the seed beads, the 11/0s, the 8/0s. And if you have to, you can stop in the middle and then pick up the others because sometimes you can't get through all of them. Just like that. So I have added now my lavender, or not my lavender, this is actually the amethyst. The lavender is up here. And then, now that I'm coming out at the end here, I'm going to go into the next crystal in my triangle weave. Pull through it. Tangle myself up here. Go through the next crystal. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to go through the next 8/0 seed bead, pull the thread through, pick up an 11/0 seed bead, and go through the next 8/0. Pull your thread through, pick up an 11/0 seed bead, and go through the next 8/0. Then, after you've done that, you will pick up an 11/0, a 6mm crystal. If you're using all one color, you don't have to worry about colors. I'm using 3 different colors of my 6mm, so I'm going to pick up an amethyst, and I'm going to go back through. I'm coming out of this side. I want to go into the opposite side that my thread is coming out of, and go back through all of the beads that I just went through and also added on. Once I'm coming out of the last 8/0 seed bead, I will then move into my next 6mm crystal on my triangle weave and do the same thing. Pick up an 11/0 seed bead, or actually go through the first 8/0, pick up an 11/0, go through the second 8/0, pick up an 11/0, go through the third 8/0, pick up an 11-0, a 6mm crystal, and an 11-0, and go back through all of your beads that you just added and went through. Come out just the 8-0, and then go into the next crystal in your triangle weave. Continue this embellishment. Oops. Got a big old tangled up mess here. Okay. There we go. So just continue this embellishment all the way to the end, and then we will be back. Okay, I have finished my bottom embellishment all the way to the very last bead before I get to my 2 ending 8-0 seed beads here. Let me show you. I've added all of them. I'm coming out of this very last fuchsia crystal here. A little closer. Here are my little 2 ending 8-0 seed beads. So we're going to do just like we did on the other side and go through the first 8-0. Pick up 2 11-0s. And then just slide through the next 8-0 and the next crystal. And that finishes out the bottom. Oops, pull those in there. There we go. That finishes out our bottom at this point. Now we're going to add one more embellishment. We're going to use a 4mm, some 8-0s and 11s to come between on the bottom one more time. So in order to get to where we can do that, we are going to sew through our 8-0. We are then going to sew through this entire little unit here. So we're going to sew through the next crystal and the 8-0 in the original triangle weave unit. Then we're going to go down through this crystal. We're going to ignore the 2 11-0s we just added, and we're going to go into the next 8-0 and crystal. So I just sewed around, and now I'm coming out of this fuchsia crystal here. I'm going to sew up through, and the embellishments we just added, I am going to sew up through the 11-0 and the 6mm here. So I'm just going to go up through this little 11-0, and then I am going to sew up through the next crystal. And now our next embellishment on the bottom here is just going to slide from crystal to crystal on our last embellishment that we made. So to get enough room to go from crystal to crystal, we're going to need to pick up an 11-0, an 8-0, a 4mm crystal, an 8-0, and an 11-0. This is what you should have. Oops, there we go. 11-0, 8-0, 4mm crystal, 8-0, 11-0. And we're coming out of the crystal here. We're going to just slide into the next crystal. Just like that. And pull. And that'll just bring that little embellishment right up to where it goes. Let's do that one more time. Pick up an 11-0, an 8-0, a 4mm crystal, an 11-0, oops, excuse me, an 8-0. I'm going to do that again because my 8-0 was funny looking. So we're going to pick up an 11-0, an 8-0, a 4mm crystal, an 8-0, and an 11-0. You can drop them down if you'd like, or just slide into the next crystal. And that's what that looks like. And we're just going to continue doing that the entire length of our necklace now. Just add from crystal to crystal to crystal, and we'll be back. So now I finished my last embellishment with my 4mm, my 8-0s and 11-0s, and this is what it looks like so far. Now I am coming out of this last crystal here. Now, from my embellishment. Now I'm just going to sew up and back through my units, but I want to get to the original unit. So I'm just going to go up this a little 11-0 here. And then I am going to sew into the embellishment just a little bit. This 8-0 right here is part of the original unit, and it's also part of the embellishment. So I'm going to sew into it. And then I'm just going to go into the crystal above it and just sew through my original triangle weave unit. And get over to the end here into the last unit. And I'm just going to sew as much as I feel comfortable and tie off. I'm not going to sew a lot right now because I don't want you all to watch me forever and be bored. Not much fun. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to go down here. And I'm just going to grab a 1/2 hitch knot, my thread bridge somewhere. And then just sew back up here a couple of beads. Goodness sakes, there we go. And I'm just going to cut my thread off and call it good. Okay. So now, and before I did that, before I finished my entire embellishment, I just went ahead and put my needle on my tail thread, sewed it through, and cut it off so that it would be out of my way when I got to the end here. So now, as my tail is sticking out, need a thread burner to get my tails closer. Anyway, let's back up, and now we're ready to add our clasp. So we'll just take our little jump rings. Of course, I don't have 2 pliers over here with me because I was really smart. Take a jump ring, put it on your wire protector, put your clasp on, and close your jump ring. And it's much better if you have 2 pliers, of course. Then we'll do the other side. Open your jump ring from side to side. Put it on your wire protector. Put on your clasp. And close your jump ring. Then I'll back this off so you can see what we just made. There is your finished project. I hope you enjoyed this. Of course, we've already done the tutorial for the matching earrings. I didn't make one to match yet, but you can see the shape of it is really pretty with this. So if you want to use multiple colors in your earrings, just like we did in the necklace here, or one solid color, whatever you want to do, get creative with it and make a pair of earrings to match and have fun. Goodbye.